Mayors, let's jump right in. The president has mentioned Baltimore as a city where he'd like to send troops for the purpose of fighting crime. But your city, Mayor Scott, is actually a success story. 5 years ago, when you took office, there were 335 homicides. Last year, there were 201. This past April, Baltimore set a record for fewest homicides in a single month. Now the city is on pace to record fewer than 140 homicides this year. That's less than half of what it is usually. It's usually about 300. But that didn't come easy. There isn't a one-and-done solution to reducing crime in Baltimore. Mayor Scott, you employ a public health approach to gun violence, which is a blend of planning, policing, data analysis, social outreach, and community violence intervention. It's a holistic, whole-of-government approach that's a much more nuanced solution than send in the troops. And most importantly, you followed the data. And the data told you things you didn't realize, like that shooters and the victims were older than you originally thought. And it wasn't the drug trade, but interpersonal conflict that's driving the violence. Tell us a little bit more about your signature policy, the group violence reduction strategy, and smart policing, and how data played a role in helping you land on these strategies.
No, thank you, and thank you everyone for being here. I think first I have to just remind everyone that I grew up young, poor, and black in Baltimore. And just fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, I grew up at the time of the height of the war against drugs, the war on drugs, zero tolerance policing. In Baltimore, in my neighborhood in Park Heights, we called it breathing while black policing. Like if I walked outside, I could be set in handcuffs because they had determined that everybody that looked like me that was in this age range that lived in these places were the most likely to be the victim or perpetrator of violence. Well, and look at those years, for example, in 2004, they arrested nearly 100,000 people in a city of 600,000, and we still had 270-something homicides. Last year in Baltimore, we had 201, as you noted. We had about 15,000 arrests. Wow. Significantly fewer homicides with significantly fewer arrests, because the reality is it's never been about how many arrests a police department makes. It's about who you arrest, and that's when we're doing GVRS, we're really, it's a focused deterrence model, but we're actually giving folks an opportunity. We do the data. We actually had to delay the start of GVRS because when we looked at the data, folks were screaming and yelling at me, you don't need to do this. It's going to be black men between the ages of 18 and 25. Wrong. It was actually black men around 30 plus, right? There were no organizations ready to work with that age of a population to help them if they wanted to change their life. So we had to stand that up. And when you, in GVRS, what we do is we actually give people a chance. They get a letter directly from me. I know who you are, I know what you do. I want you to stay alive. The only way that you're gonna do that is you gotta stop what you're doing. We're going to give you every chance. If you need housing, we'll help. If you need education, we'll help. If you need to be relocated, we'll help. But if you don't, we're going to remove you with law enforcement. It's a partnership between my office, my police department that works under my command, the state's attorney of Baltimore City, the attorney general of Maryland, and most importantly, the community partners, because those individuals that we go to are brought in by trusted community moral voice partners that are able to bring them in, to give them that hand up. And this isn't the first time Baltimore has tried this strategy. This is actually the third time. But the previous two didn't have the most important ingredients. One, the political will to continue, even though everyone thought this is the wrong way and they want you to go back to doing zero tolerance where it didn't work the first place. And two, there weren't the resources on the community side. It has to be a both and. We have to understand that gun violence is the nation's longest standing public health challenge, and police alone should have never been bearing the full burden of reducing it.
Right, right. What type of partnership would you like to have ideally with the federal government instead of the National Guard? Where would federal resources better be spent? Just asking
Just
questions.
one day, I want to not talk about them. Not anytime soon. I think that we already know, and we've laid out, mayors have laid it out. If they truly wanted to help cities, one, they could restore all the grants to all the CVI and all the law enforcement and all the things that they cut. I want people to understand this. The largest defunding of policing and public safety, even from a law enforcement standpoint in this country, has happened under this current president, right? So everything else you hear is hyperbole. But they could ban Glock switches. They could ban assault rifles. They could outright ban ghost guns. They could remove the T. Hart Amendment that will allow my brother Mayor and I to actually know where the guns come from, right? Because it's illegal. Our police departments work at our command. They go out and recover all these guns. For me, 60% of them come from other states, and I'll just say those states don't vote the way Baltimore votes, right? But it's actually illegal for my police commissioner to tell me exactly where that gun comes from. They are protecting people who are trafficking weapons into cities. They are protecting gun stores like Hanover Armory that we in Baltimore sued and won the largest settlement ever with a gun store because they are purposely skirting the rules to put guns in the hands of people. That's how they could help us.
Yeah. Yep. Mayor Woodfin. Mayor Woodfin, this is personal for you. You lost your older brother to gun violence in 2012. You lost your nephew. He was shot and killed in 2017. A few weeks later, you were elected mayor, and suddenly you're in a position to do something about gun violence. When you came into office, you inherited a city that had historically responded to violence by relying heavily on police. You decided instead to focus on the root causes of violence, like inequality and poverty reduction. You established the Mayor's Office of Peace and Policy to focus on prevention and reducing recidivism. In 2019, Birmingham was among the first cities in the U.S. to declare gun violence a public health crisis, a strategy that, like Baltimore, encourages a holistic approach to tackling the issue. But results do take time. 2024 was a deadly year, but then something remarkable happened. Homicides dropped 52% in the first half of this year. So tell us, what's working? Where are you seeing progress? What's moving the needle? And what are some outside-the-box strategies that you've employed in Birmingham, like concrete roadblocks, greening neighborhoods? Tell us more.
Well, good morning, everybody. Let me first thank Bloomberg Philanthropies and John Hopkins. Also want to just acknowledge your mayor, who is a national rock star. I got a chance to be on a panel with him last week, and the way he uplifts your community and your city is amazing. So, Brother Mayor, congrats on everything you're doing.
Thank you, brother.
I will say this to everybody in this room. In 2019, when we declared gun violence a public health crisis, it was one reason. It was what the mayor said. You can't approach this only from a policing zero tolerance standpoint. For us, we look at it as a toolbox, if you would, and a minimum of 3 tools are in this toolbox, and that's enforcement, prevention, and re-entry efforts. But this holistic approach from a public health crisis standpoint is quite simple. It is, how do you engage poverty issues, unemployment, education, and a litany of things I don't even have time to name related to addressing this issue. One of the most important partners for us was our actual Jefferson County Department of Health. We need your public health leader at the table when addressing gun violence, because you're going to get additional resources, 1. 2, they're going to give you a vantage point of how you should tackle this. So this comprehensive approach has allowed us 5 years later to get to the point where we can say, not just the first half, but now ending 3/4 of the year, we're at 53% reduction of homicides. So it's holding.
Wow.
And it's not just policing. What we do, as an example, is not just place-based, but there's a neighborhood called Eastlake. And what we found in this neighborhood was that there was a significant amount of walk-ups, drive-by shootings. And what we found was by the time the police got there, we couldn't identify who was doing all the shootings. But we also found in this historic neighborhood there were so many entry-exit points. So all we did was decrease the number of entry-exit points into the neighborhood, but we did that in partnership with the residents. We went door to door. We had town hall meetings, neighborhood meetings. We received information online, just an amount of feedback from the residents. This program has been in existence for over a year, and this neighborhood has had a 40% reduction in gun violence, in trafficking, drugs, in shutting down the trap dope houses, as well as removing the blight, as cutting the empty lots, going vertical with single family homes on some of these empty lots, as well as other things we're doing to invest holistically in the neighborhood, not just decreasing crime, but seeding in hope and opportunity as well.
Right.
Right. Establishment Democrats, and this could be for either of you, seem to have a hard time owning the issue of public safety. What are you each doing in your leadership to counter this notion that Democrats cannot be effective at reducing crime?
Yeah, well, one, you have to ignore the noise. A lot of people talking. I'm gonna pass this question to my brother. My wife told me to choose peace today. She did. She told me to choose peace. But the truth is, we're doing the work. And we have real results. When you're at the local level as a mayor, you don't have time for performative politics.
No.
What we're doing is not political. We're actually governing. Governing means that you are solutions-based and you're focused on solving problems, protecting people. That means any and all type of solutions that actually work, we will try. What we know is that there are other people in other colors. Yeah. Let's say tomato soup. And that went over some people's head, I'm sorry. It's performative politics, but we're focused on results. So brother, close that for me strong, because I know.
Well, my wife didn't tell me to choose peace today. And even if she did, I pretty much never do on this topic. But I think that when, for us, if you ask me, and they know because I tell them this all the time, Democrats keep losing this issue because they are talking about, they have the wrong people talking. If they wanted to win on this issue, the folks that should be out in front to talk about this issue are us, the mayors. We're the one that have to do the work. When someone gets shot, no one is calling their senator or congressman. And listen, everyone knows I love my congressman, right? But here in Baltimore, we're blessed. We know that. They know that. They know that the public safety strategy has to be led through the local government. But when you get on the highs in the Democratic Party, they want to anoint people to talk about something that they have absolutely no damn clue of what they're talking about. You can't win. If they want to win on these issues, they have to put the mayors in the forefront. And then also, you have to do what mayors have to do. We have to talk about this issue at the level of the people, not in hyperbole, not in academia, not in what actually is happening and what we're doing to resolve that. People want the information that way. If they want to keep and continue to lose on the effort, do what they have been doing. We're going to do what we have to do regardless, because we're the ones that have to make those phone calls when someone's son or daughter is never coming home. We're the ones that have to talk at those funerals. We're the ones that have to bury people that we know, right? We have to do that. We have to eulogize kids. We have to do that. And until you have lived that life, until you have had someone like I had, a mother tell me that a young man that was killed outside my high school, that young man told her he was going to look for me before the game. Wow. He was looking for me. Then you have no earthly idea of what it means to actually work and try to solve this issue.
Wow.
Yeah.
It says we're out of time. I would love to talk to you about this twice as long, but real quick, what is something you want people to know about crime in your city, something you think is not getting out there?
I guess I'll start that it's complicated, right? even though we have now 101 homicides, that's 101 too many for me, but it's also the lowest amount of homicides we've had through the 30th of September ever on recorded record, right? Like, that's the reality. But we have a long way to go. And I think what I want to get out is that we've made significant progress, but we have to sustain it. And sustaining it means that we have to stay the course. We have to ignore the noise, as my fabulous brother Mayor said. We have to continue to support the things that work. And for some folks, we have to understand that the success of what's happening in Baltimore is all of our success. And folks have to stop wanting to clamor and fight over, it should be all about me. This is the true definition of a we success, and we all should be happy in it.
Yeah, very quickly, two things. 75% of homicides that occur in the city of Birmingham are interpersonal conflict.
Yep.
Within that number, 45% occur where police cannot be inside of a home, inside of an apartment, or inside a vehicle. Within that information, the way we've been able to solve our homicides, we have an 82% clearance rate as of today.
Wow. That's very high. Just some context.
People, witnesses are coming forward, sharing information. We're getting beyond the no snitching culture.
Wow, and that's a very hard code to crack. So that's incredible progress. Mayor Woodfin, Mayor Scott, thank you so much for joining us today.